for the U.S. and 1 for the jihadists.
Okay, I got him.
Okay, we'll start with War of Ideas. The purpose of the War of Ideas, it's written right there for you, is to improve the government, alignment, or governance. Alignment is either ally, neutral affair, or four, or adversary, I'm sorry. It's either ally, neutral, or adversary, or is to improve its governance. That makes it from a 3 to a 2 to a 1. Where is the target? Where can you do War of Ideas? You can go in neutral or ally Muslim country. You can also do it in the blue countries. Those War of Ideas, the purpose for that is you're trying to change the world opinion. So if you're hard, you're not going to try to change other hard countries because they're already hard with you. But if you're hard and you get a whole bunch of soft countries, well, then you're going to want to do a War of Ideas to try to turn them into hard countries. Okay? Or there's a thing you can do called reassess, which you flop and you make yourself soft, the same as the world. I'll get into that in just a second. So the War of Ideas works like this. You roll on the War of Ideas table. If it's successful, you would shift a neutral to an ally or improve an ally's governance 1 level. Now remember that
Okay, I see that in the back of the player aid.
yes. Now, for the target country for a War of Ideas, you can only do those in neutral or ally. So when something goes to adversary, you can't do anything to it. Nothing. Until it becomes Islamist rule, like Afghanistan is. And the only thing you can do in Afghanistan is do a deployment, which is a type of regime change. You've got to send the troops in and go to war. I'll get into that in just a second. So just remember that War of Ideas, you can only do an ally and neutral, never in an ad. So Iraq right now, unless you can get Iraq up to neutral, there's nothing you can do. And the only way that you're going to possibly get Iraq to neutral is by events. There's some event cards that'll get it up to neutral. So, and the way it works is on the back side of that, you would roll for the War of Ideas. You have success on a 5 or a 6. Now there are some die roll modifiers to that. And if you miss it by 1, you get to place an aid marker, which will give you a +1 to your next attempt. The die roll modifiers are, there's a -1 for attempting to shift it to good. So it's hard. You can have 1 aid marker. It's kind of weird how this works. Aid works like this. Once you have an aid marker on the country, you cannot place any more on there by missing by 1 on your die roll. But if you get a event that says you can place aid, then you can place another 1 on there. So you can keep getting more, but they have to be by event only. If there's 1 there, or there's not 1 there, only 1 time can you place by missing by 1 number.
Okay, so the aid shifts around the board, but it can only be in one place at a time.
Aid can be everywhere. You're going to get aid in many places, and it can start building up. And there are things I can do to get rid of that aid, like let a terror plot go off. You'll lose your aid. Different things that happen. But going through your modifiers real quick, the first one is if you're attempting to shift it to good, that's a -1. It's hard to get it to good. You're minus your GWAT penalty. Never any pluses on there. So you don't get a +1 or 2 or 3 if the world's hard and you're hard. You don't get those. It's just 0. Once the world goes soft and it goes opposite of you, it's a -1, 2, or 3. Then you have U.S. prestige. And that's down that bottom track. Right now at 7, you're a +1. You could go up to +2. You could go to 0, you could go to -1. +1 for each aid, and +1 for each adjacent ally country. That's good. So what that means is if you look over here, India, even though it's a good country, you don't get a +1 for it because it cannot go ally. It's only these green countries because they have an ally box. If you get one of those to good ally, then it gives you a +1 because it's adjacent. And that's how War of Ideas works. That's probably the hardest one. The next one's pretty simple. It's a disrupt. And the purpose for a disrupt is for you to remove cells or cadres from the board. And the reason why you would want to do that is it's going to help your prestige. Every time that, okay, so let me go through the purpose. It's to remove cells or cadres. And then you gain prestige by doing that. The target countries, non-Muslim countries, not Iraq, ally, or countries with at least 2 troops. So what that means is the country has to have, right now, if I had, let's say I've got this guy right here in the Gulf, oops, grab him. Let's say I have this guy right here in the Gulf states, okay? And you want to do a disrupt there. Well, is it a non-Muslim country? No, it's not. It's a Muslim country. Is it an ally? No, it's neutral. Or country with at least 2 troops. Ah, you have 2 troops there. So you can do a disrupt. Okay? What you would do is you would roll, you would play a 2 or a 3-op card. It's automatic. You would disrupt me. If I'm a sleeper, you would turn me active, so I would go like this, and you would get 1 prestige point. It would go up 1 to 8 because you just disrupted me. And you've made me active. So let's say it's still your turn, and you have another 2-op card, and you want to disrupt again. You just state, I'm disrupting in the Gulf states. Here's a 2-op card. Now my guy would go back to the funding track because he was active. Now he just went back there, and you would go up 1 more prestige, up to 9, because you just disrupted where you have 2 troops. If you did not have 2 troops, you would not get a prestige bump. You would just send me back to the funding track. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the active part makes him visible, and then the troops take their action. And the next time is basically sending him back to the board.